Tawao Kakyo, no class wit. Welcome to class 8. Looks like we're a small group tonight, so I'm assuming everybody else has melted and won't be joining us tonight. So speaking of melting, I think this is a good opportunity considering the weather we've had over the last little while to review some weather words. So if you remember how to ask how's the weather, it's tanche shiki shikak. So if I'm talking about today, I can use the word today in Michif, which is anosh. So tanche shiki shikak anosh. What was the weather like today? Anybody?
Let's see here. Washishkwan Anush.
Washishkwan tapwe.
Or could you say metone washishkwan?
I would maybe even say mitoni kishashteo. Hot. It was very, very hot. But yeah, the sun was very bright today. Absolutely, you can say mitoni washishkwan.
When you're combining like weather, so you could say it's like sunny and hot, what would you use in between? Do you say pe or equa?
I generally will use equa when I'm joining words that are Cree derived, which most weather words are. So yeah, I would say washeshkwan equa kishachteo anosh.
Okay, merci.
Yeah. Anybody else? Tanche shikishikak anosh. Apshish yutin. A little bit windy, which is not very helpful right now. Maybe later it'll be a little bit nicer, that breeze, and hopefully will cool me off a little bit. Cause namo dayan an air conditioner dans mon maison. I don't have air conditioning, so right now this is my Michif air conditioning.
Did you say kia teketayao?
Absolutely, yep.
You're melting.
I'm melting, yeah. Yeah.
How about kia my mashi shihu? Like very uncomfortable.
Oh yes. My mashchuhu, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
a couple other people trying to join us here. Good. So yeah, I think it's gonna let up tomorrow. So hopefully it'll be less kisharshteo tomorrow and more mio kishakao, which is how you say a nice day. So Samson, I've been meaning to do this for a couple weeks and I always run out of time. But for those of you, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, Monasasi. For those of you who don't know, Samson and Lila, who usually joins us, she's not here tonight. She's off in La Grosse Pocani, the big smoke, Toronto. But I did want to point out that Samson and Lila are among very, very few educators in this province who are studying and teaching Michif in earnest. And Samson, particularly, I want to point out, has a really awesome Twitter feed. So, Samson, I'm wondering if I can put you on the spot and get you to talk a little bit about your Twitter feed and maybe add your handle to the chat so people can follow you if they don't already.
Oh, Kishimar Simonemi, really kind words. And I'm just a learner as well, but I like to share what I've been taught. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'll put in the chat. And I don't know about Twitter. I think I just pop on Twitter. I don't actually post on Twitter, but you can go on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and in a Facebook group, the Michif Facebook group. If you look up Michif with mon oncle Samson. So the reason why I say mon oncle Samson is I used to teach at St. Michael's School, L'École Saint Michel, and we went away from Mr. and Mrs. And we went with mon oncle and ma tante. So uncle and auntie, or mushum or cookum. And my kind of learning journey started about 10 years ago. Norman Fleury, Michif Norman Fleury came to Saskatoon and I took a GDI class and it just kind of took off. And I love learning Michif. It's kind of my passion that I do on the side. And I started an Instagram account because I wanted the students that I was teaching at my schools to be able to share it at home. So if you check out Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, I try to make it, fun, and that's one thing I love about Russell's teaching style. He gets us to laugh, and then when you're having fun and when you have an encouraging teacher, you want to learn more. So I have to say, you do an excellent job, Russell, and that's what I hope. So you guys could check that out. I put it on YouTube as well, just because then you don't have to sign into things, and YouTube is pretty accessible for everyone. So yeah, no, and you know what? That means a lot because I really look up to Russell. He's leading the way. And no, that means a lot. So, and Lila is also doing a lot of good stuff. There's a good core group of us here in Saskatoon, and we're lucky because we're really fortunate to have a lot of language keepers in our area. And I'm really looking forward to next week. Russell's going to be coming to this Mitchell camp to help out teachers learn and find ways to introduce stuff into the classroom, and I try to provide that too. With my Instagram, I also take pictures of the resources I've created by myself as well. Well, with help, but I've created them, and that's why I want to give a shout out for Russell too, because these sheets that he give us, it really helps us to learn. And a lot of times when working with knowledge keeper, language keepers, it's all oral, and that's cool. That's great, right? That's kind of how it was first taught in the kitchen, at home. But now, we have different types of learners, different learning styles. And I still remember my first class with Norman. I started writing things down, like phonetically. He's, don't you write anything down. That was never taught like that. I respect that, but for me, I can't remember it. Like if I'm gonna see you once a week, I gotta be able to check this out. So I will say this, and thank you again for hosting this, Regina Public Libraries. That's awesome. And if you only know one or two words, that's good. That's a great start. Go slow, be kind with yourself. I've been learning for over 10 years and I have a long, long way to go. But you know what? I got to just be kind to myself and be kind to others. And that's what you got to do. So yeah, merci pour ton temps. Thanks for your time, Russell. Thank you for allowing me to say that. And yeah, I look up to you. So keep doing your thing, Marcy.
Merci por ti bon mot. Thanks for your nice words, Samson. And yeah, we no tiene que nan por la long. We fight hard for the language, you and I and Lila and lots of other people in the province. But I did really want to point out the work that you do, Samson, because you are strong in an area which I am not, and that is social media. And I know that, given the fact that we have so few speakers left and that our fluent speakers are all of a certain age, le vieux puis les vieilles, it's really incumbent upon younger people to find ways to reach out to younger learners to get this language to wake up and to survive. So I really appreciate the work that you do and the work that Lila does. And yeah, despite the fact that we're separated by hundreds of kilometers, there's a real sort of fraternity in the people that work to save this language. And Samson makes some great resources, so definitely check him out. Check out some of his posts. I've seen a few on Instagram, and they're pretty hilarious. Usually it's other people showing me because I don't I don't have Instagram. But one last word just to sort of emphasize some of the things Samson was saying. For those of you that are really serious about learning Michif, I think one of the most powerful ways that we can ensure that we are learning and sharing an authentic version of Michif and not just sort of recreating whatever version we want to is by being a bridge. Those of us who are sort of not quite young but not quite old, we can sort of bridge the knowledge that our old ones have to some of the methods and strategies that the young ones are accustomed to. So I think that's a really powerful model. It's one that I use with my Michif mentors. They're the same. They don't like me writing things, and they have their own way that I've had to accept. I think when you learn Michif, you're also having to do a lot of unlearning. Unlearning of things that you were taught in school that was good learning, like always ask questions and always write everything down. Those don't always work in Michif communities for Michif teachers, and I've had to give up a lot of pride learning this language. It's a very humbling language, but it's also, and this is the last thing I'll say in my rant here, it is such a forgiving language. such a forgiving language. There are rules and there is grammar for sure, but my old ones almost never correct me, even though I really want them to, because I want to get better. They always say to me, we get what you're trying to say. Like, yeah, you didn't say it perfect, but we understood you. And that's helped me to build confidence, and it's helped me to take risks. And you have to take some risks when you're learning a new language. So and that's why I try to make these lessons fun. Is it's not about being perfect. It's about showing the old ones that we're trying, learning new words, and understanding that this is a hilarious and kind and loving and extremely forgiving language. So that's my rant for tonight. Now that we're getting to the last few lessons, I can start getting ranty.
RC, Russell, can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
So another thing that I do is a lot of the worksheets that I create are influenced by the work that I've done in person, but not everyone can work with a language keeper in person. So a lot of times I reference GDI's Michif dictionary. So if you want to know like the type that Russell is, I call it like Southern Heritage, but some people just call it Michif. Anyways, I put it in the link, and that's where you can hear Norman say it, because it's great to read it, but it's not how it's read, it's how it's said. I think that's the most important thing. And they use a different spelling. So sometimes you have different spelling, but as long as you're saying it the right way.
Yep.
And then I'm also been working with Métis Nation of BC, and they have this new Amelia Douglas Institute, and they actually recorded Norman 150 new sayings. So they have different stuff on there as well. So I put it in there. And I think that's my thing, is my sheets, I have it kind of in English, what you're going to be saying, how it might be spelt, and it don't get hung up on the spelling. But then a lot of times I leave a space for your sounds like, to help you remember how you can say it. So I think that's really important. And Russell does an amazing job with the pronunciation, because he's put in the time, he's put in the work. And so anyways, those are just a couple other resources. If you want to hear more about it, hear them say it like Norman. And then, yeah, and that's the thing that I'm trying to do, is because the Livier, they always say, well, we got to get the kids to speak it. It's got to be the next generation. So we got to get them, maybe this week I'll get Russell on Instagram or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Or I'll film him. Well, actually, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I'm allowed to film as much this year as last year, but anyways, we'll see what we can do.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to Batosh. It's going to be a good time. Yes, Nick Beige, thanks for sharing that. Gabriel Local 11, I think I've spoken about them before. They're a local in Saskatoon, and they are producing amazing resources, flashcards, posters, so many good resources. If you just Google Gabriel Local 11, I don't know if their website is up yet, but you should be able to find a contact for them online. I've also put GDI's website. I can see Samson put a link to the Métis Museum on the website. Amazing source. I use Norman's online resources quite a lot. I also use Prairie to Woodlands quite a lot. They're an organization out of Manitoba that's run by Heather Sauter. Heather Sauter has done a tremendous amount of work in terms of recording the grammar and phonology of Michif. And she also has an online app that you can access for free from Prairie to Woodlands. Just Google that, it'll come up. And it is, you can hear Michif words and phrases, but you can also take lessons that scale up. So they start with very, very basic grammar, and then they get better and better and better. So definitely check that out. It's super awesome that people are putting free resources online, because I feel like if we had to pay for them, that they maybe wouldn't be as effective. So check those out, and we'll do a bit of review in our last class too, class 10. We'll talk a little bit about resources and where you can access a little bit more help with your Michif. But yeah, the vast majority of what's being written these days is online. So check those sources out. All right, if we're going to get into tonight's lesson, I better share my screen here and stop talking maybe. My students who are in here are like, yeah, when's that going to happen?
What's the word for that? Is it makatun or
makatun? Yeah, big mouth. And makatun, yeah. In fact,
don't get that confused with puegetun,
which is a noise your body makes. Yes, pronunciation is important in midship, just like Misha and Mishi. One means big and one means something that comes out of your body. Okay, so let's do a quick little bit of review for introductions. We're a little community here, so we want to make sure we all know each other. So I'm going to ask if you're comfortable to share your name, where you're from, where you live, and who are you related to. So just to give you a bit of review, I'll model that for you. So Russ de Shineka Shun, Levali Katapwe Doshjin, Arejina Newikin, Egwa Newakama Wak Li Fayan, Li Dejerle, Li Klein, Li Rasset, Li Kajanal, Egwa Mishchetli, Li Michif dans la Valley. So if you're comfortable, you can just jump right in, you guys. And if you can only say one or two, that's okay.
Okay. Dallas de Shinekashun. Let's see. Opushtal. I can't say that right. Lee Newigan, Saskatoon. I think I'm getting mixed up here. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, you're trying to say you live in Saskatoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, Saskatoon, Newigan.
Okay, Dushan, Manitoba.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll turn my phone off. I got messages coming in. Yeah, that's it.
Good job, Dallas. Dallas, Kimuchkehtan dan Batosh. Did you have a good time at Batosh?
I did. I really did. Didn't you see me dying on the dance floor? It was so friggin' hot in there.
Yes, yeah. Hot in more ways than one, I bet, eh?
Yeah. Everybody was hot to trot. But I also went to the historic site and we spent 4 hours there.
Oh, wow.
We even picked vegetables out of the garden.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's like having your own personal guide. Anyway, I had a real good time.
Le Premier Fois, was that your first time at Batosh?
No, it's just that I had a plan on what I really wanted to do because you get so caught up in the moment, you don't get a chance to really do the things you want because you're pulled this way, pulled that way. And my cousin came in from Selkirk, so she had never been to Batosh.
Wow, so that must have been quite a experience for them then, eh?
Yeah, so it was good. Yeah, and that's the thing, when you got company, you try and show them things, but you don't have enough time to show them everything. So
that's right. Yeah. And then you got to try and get them to leave eventually.
Yeah.
That's when you say shipwete. That means leave. Shipwete.
I'll remember that word.
Yeah. Or if you want to be rude about it, you can say Atakiwe, which is like get out of here.
Oh yeah, well.
Get home.
Depends on who the guests are.
That's right. That's right.
I used to tell them, I said, guests are like, companies are like fish. After a few days, they start smelling.
Scum les poissons, they're like fish. Thanks for the giggle there, Dallas. Anybody else want to try introducing yourself? Let's have a couple more.
I'll do one right away.
Okay.
Sanson la montagne de Shinekashun. Opushtal izo doshchin, bois de flèche newikin, et maître de Colnia, Neatoshkan pour Greater Saskatoon Catholic Schools, Newakoma Wak, li La Montagne, li Saint-Ange, li Desjardins, li Boucher, li Parot, et quoi, li Grant.
Merci. And let's have one more.
I can try.
All right.
Okay, Terry ne Shishki Oshun, Lac Canal de Shushain, Moosjaw, ne Weekend, ne Wakamawak, le Rac, le Dumont, le Fleury, le Chartrand, le Sauvé, le Nicolas.
Oh man, lots of big matey names for Manitoba, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Oui.
Ah, merci. Thanks for sharing. Okay, let's get into a little bit of verb conjugation. So we've learned a little bit. I've given you those sheets that show you how to conjugate a verb from the pronouns, but also past, present, and tense. But we're going to focus on the past tense tonight. And so learning to ask, what did you do? Because so many of you were at Batosh or maybe had an exciting weekend. So I'm nosy and I want to know what you guys were doing. I was working, unfortunately, get those done. But I'd like to hear what you guys were up to so I can live vicariously through you. I don't know how to say vicariously in Michif, unfortunately. So how you ask, what did you do? So you know that the word kekwai means what? And the verb to do is totaman. Okay. And you need a ka in there because you're putting it in the past tense. That's the did. So kekwai ka totaman. You can try to say that if you want. Kekwai ka totaman. What did you do? Okay. And if you want to ask somebody, what are you doing? You just take out the ka. So if somebody's like doing something right now in front of you, you'd say, Kekwai totaman. What are you doing? What kind of dance is that? Eee, scary. So how you can answer this question, you need to know how to say sometimes. So if I'm asking you, what did you do yesterday? I need to use the word yer. Yer. If I'm asking you about last night, oh, now I'm really nosy. You'd say, yer a swear. Yer a swear. And if I'm asking about the weekend, you can say, sur la fin de semaine. Sur la fin de semaine, which literally is the end of the week, but that's how we say weekend in Michif. And then just some examples here that I've done up here. So if you want to say you visited, okay, so you need to use gi because that's what puts it in the past tense. Gikiwikan avec ma tante. I visited my aunt. And if you want, you can throw in the when. Gikiwikan avec ma tante hier soir. I visited my aunt last night. Or maybe you were at Batosh and you had a really good time. You could say, Gi much kehtan dam Batosh. I had a hell of a good time at Batosh. Much kehta is it's the verb to celebrate, but it's really kind of an all-purpose word that you can use whenever you're having a good time. Much kehta. You have to make sure you push this H out though. Much kehta. And it becomes on, both of these words become on the end because it's the conjugation for I. Gi kiwikan, gi mochkehtan. Okay. So the question might look like, Kikwai ka totaman sur la fin de semaine. What did you do on the weekend? Oh, gi minehkwan and gross slurpee. I drank a big slurpee. That's a lie. I drank a few big Slurpees, but I'm not ashamed. So I want to give you a little bit of practice. So you've been given a couple pages of verbs at this point, and hopefully you have access to those wherever you are. Hopefully you're keeping a little binder or you've got a tab on your computer with these lessons in them that you can pull out those verbs, and you're going to focus on the I conjugation, I in the past. And I'd like you to tell me what you did on the weekend. Okay. And you can either use hier for yesterday, hier soir, or you can use on the weekend, sur la fin de semaine. Okay. So I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to figure out which verb you want to use, and then add the time word on the end. And then I'm going to ask you, what did you do on the weekend?
I'm good to go if you want to try one out right
Sure.
away.
Sur la fin de semaine.
Gi pakasheman George Ward Pool ekwa gi metawan le golf hier.
Ah.
Did
So
I say it right?
I got the goal. You played golf, but I'm a slightly confused at pakashinin. Is that what you said? Gipakashinin?
Gi bakasheman.
Oh, bakashamon. Okay.
Bakashamon. Yeah, sorry.
No, that's a good example of some words sound similar, so you have to be good with pronunciation. Because what I heard was you fell down at the pool. Bakashanin means fall down, but oh,
Oh,
bakashamo. Okay, you swam. Awesome.
uh-huh.
Great,
Okay.
great way to spend the weekend.
Mhm.
Anybody else ready to give us a try? Que quoi katotaman sur la fin de semaine. Need a couple more minutes? Shay, you're good? Okay. Que quoi katotaman sur la fin de semaine.
Guy Kevakwan, Mon Nassasi, Sarah.
Oh, good. So you visited with your friend Sarah. Awesome. Whenever the rest of you are ready, just jump on in.
I can go.
Okay.
Giwapa Mau movie sa la fin de semaine.
Good. The only thing I would change there, Leah, is I would say giwapahten.
Giwapa 10.
Giwapahten. When you say giwapamal, you're saying you saw something that's alive. So a person or
Oh
an
yeah.
animal.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The rest
you.
was perfect. Good job. Yeah. Which movie? Was it Barbie?
No, the new Insidious.
Oh, Insidious.
Yeah.
Don't laugh, Bishop. Kaya pa, pe. I know you went and
laughed 'cause I
saw.
knew you'd guess Barbie. Never
That's
mind.
what we said.
I know you too well.
Anybody else want to give it a go? Que quoi katotaman sur la fin de semaine.
Giitutang la magazine here.
Ah, perfect, Denise. You went to the store yesterday. That was perfect. It's okay to say gi itotan, but many times when you hear fluent speakers, if you've got a word that ends in a vowel like gi and another word that begins with a vowel like itotan, you can drop the I in itotan. So it would be gitotan. Yeah, but a Michif speaker would totally understand gi itotan. So that was perfect. Anybody else?
I can try, but I'm not sure if I've got the sentence right.
Okay, Kuchi, give it a try.
Sur la fin de semaine, Guy Totan Barwillo avec un ami.
Ooh, nice. Nami está Barwillow. I love Barwillow. Ara la la que katawashashu. It's a restaurant around the lake and it's beautiful. Maka shokakesteo, expensive. Maka mischet levin, maka sikiam. They've got an excellent choice of wine, so it's okay. Love Barwillow. Shout out to Barwillow. Feel free to send me a free invite. Somebody else want to go?
Okay, how do you say, I want to say gi pakan batosh mess.
Okay, so gito tan en mas dans Batoche.
Okay,
Yeah, you went to mass at Batoche. Katawasha Shu l'église dans Batoche, beautiful church in Batoche. Eh? Cool, and that's quite rare to get in there for mass, so that's awesome.
oh, we knew the tricks.
Gi ayamaha pornia, did you pray for me?
Everybody.
Madon, ayamaha pornia, please pray for me. Let's see. Nick, do you wanna give it a go?
Sure. So I have Gi Ayawe Penier.
Okay. You're gonna have to tell me what you're saying because I'm not sure.
It's supposed to be rested.
Okay, so you had a little rest. Awesome. That's the thing to do in this heat, eh? Terry, did you go yet? I think you did. Yes. James to go. Did you go yet? Go, James to go. No. James to go has gone. How about Andrea D?
I can go. I might be missing some words.
Sikiam.
Guy Itotan à la rivière Napikamu sur la plaine
Ah,
de Semaine.
awesome. That was perfect. Awesome.
Merci.
I don't know where that river is. Tandea now, where's that?
South of Lac Orange.
Okay, wow, you went far. Just looking at the chat here real quick. Samson, how do you say the day before yesterday or the day after tomorrow? Avant-hier is the day before yesterday. Avant-hier, it's literally before yesterday. Avant-hier. And the day after tomorrow would be le jour après-demain. It's literally the day after tomorrow. Le jour après-demain. So I can actually put those in the chat. Avant-hier is day before yesterday. And le jour après-demain is day after tomorrow. Aren't those both like apocalyptical movies? Good job, you guys. I'm super, super impressed, and I'm not just saying that because you guys are my favorites. It's amazing over the course of 8 weeks how much pronunciation has improved. Your ability to conjugate verbs is getting better. So, I mean, take heart. I know I say that this is a hard language a lot, but if you take stock of what you've learned in 8 weeks, you should be impressed by yourselves. So, I certainly am impressed. I wanted to review pronouns and possessives with you guys. I noticed that I didn't actually put that anywhere on my course outline, but I think it's pretty important. So we're just going to review those really quick. Now, the thing with pronouns is that 90% of the time when you hear pronoun in Michif, it will be a Cree-derived pronoun. However, occasionally I do hear some fluent Michif speakers use French pronouns, mostly je or ton or mon in terms of possessives. You can feel comfortable using I or, but also with the understanding that 90% of the time, they'll be using Cree-derived pronouns, okay? So when you're saying I or me in Michif, it's the same word, and it's niya, which you will often see spelled like this, okay? So generally, when you see a double I, it's pronounced like a double E. We've had this conversation before many times in this class that I prefer phonetic spelling, but most of the time when you see these pronouns, the double E will be spelt with a double I, but it's Nia. You is Kia. Kia. He or she, so we have non-gendered pronouns in Michif. There is no separate pronoun for he or she. It's both wea. And it literally means that person, wea. We or us is nianan. Nianan. You plural, so like you guys, is kiawao. Kiawao. They, them is weawao. Weawao. And then we get into some possessives here. So if you want to say mine, there's 2 ways, actually 3 ways in which you can say it. You can say depehten. So I could say mon phone depehten. Mon phone vieille depehten. This is my old phone. An iPhone with anama. You can also say nia anama. Nia anama. So that's literally, that's mine. Nia anama. Okay. Or you'll also sometimes hear mon, and I've put the N in parentheses. I'm not sure if it's the same way in French, but in Michif, it's a very nasally N. So it's mon. You say it, but you don't say it. You say it kind of very softly. Mon. And again, I will generally use mon if I'm referring to French-derived words. So often you'll hear, ma maison, my house, and that's a very French way of saying it. But you'll also hear Michif speakers say nia anima maison. Okay, both are correct. His or hers is either wia anima, but you'll also hear son. Son. Okay. Your or yours is, so if you're saying your, you'd say ton. Some Michif speakers will say ton, more of an oo. Either or correct. It's just slight variations depending on where you're from in the province, either ton or ton. But you can also say kia anima. That's yours. There, you can either say wia wow, or you can say le. Le. And if you want to say me too, which I use this word a lot when I was first learning Michif because I couldn't say a full sentence to agree. So I would just say, oh yeah, nishta, nishta. It comes in handy. And if you want to say, oh, you too, kishta, kishta. And puvri kishta, you're poor too. Ah, I understand the nishto then. So that's pronouns and possessives. And as I said, they come in pretty handy. So I maybe should have covered this a little earlier, but you have it now and you can practice it. Okay, in terms of some new vocabulary, I've promised you that we're going to learn a little bit about around the house today. I didn't want to overload you with a bunch of words because, to be honest, the vast majority of things around the house are nouns, which mean they're derived from French. So if you say it in French, a Michif person will understand. Although when you hear me say it, you might hear slightly different pronunciations than you would hear in French, okay? So windows, because you usually have more than one window, I've pluralized it. That's why I'm using lit. That's the article for pluralizing. So lit sa si. Lit sa si. Tout li sa si kipaha waka no shal. My windows are closed today. A fence is en par. En par. So en is just one, right? Roof, so I'm using la here to indicate it, the roof. La couverture. La couverture. I have never, in the 10 years that I've been learning Michif, never, ever, ever been corrected by any Michif speaker on whether I am using le or la. What they will correct me on is if I'm using le or li. That they care about, if you're talking about a singular or plural. But whether you're using le or la, I've never encountered a Michif speaker that's very bothered by it. There is a rule, and generally you only know that by learning vocabulary. But if you said le couverture, a Michif speaker is not going to correct you. It would be fine.
Russell, I really liked what you had said about when people were saying, does it follow the same with French with le, la, and you were saying, well, no, because sometimes they didn't go to school and they didn't maybe learn those set rules. So I think that's a really cool thing you shared with us. I really like that.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that although our ancestors are French, those ancestors come from 300 years ago. So we've been sort of not separated from French, but we haven't been as influenced by it as we were when the language was emerging 200 plus years ago. So, and it's the same for Cree, although we tend to have a bit more Cree influence in Western Michif or in Southern Michif, sorry, just because we tended to have closer contact with our Cree cousins than some of our Francois cousins. So yeah, that's a good point. Grass, I actually made a mistake here. I need to make it li-foin, because it's you have to think of the individual blades of grass. So it actually is plural. Li-foin. Li-foin. It's the same when you say hair, which is cheveux. You have to pluralize it because it's actually individual I don't know why I had to show you my individual hairs there, but les cheveux égale les foins.
I can't remember if it was you or Norman that told me, because if you look it up on some things, it might say le foin vert, like green
Mm.
grass. But that's like everyone today wants green grass on their yard. But back in the day, it was just what your grass grew, whatever. You know, you weren't watering it all the time. It was just whatever the weather. Whenever it rained, that's when your grass got water.
That's right, and you know, I'll fully admit that I still don't water my grass. I think it's a waste of money, but you're exactly right. Yeah, and once you start, you know, getting into Michif, you'll hear different types of grass, like, you know, Lifuenda prairie grass, or Lifuenda vert. A yard. Now, there's a couple different ways to say yard. I've given you the one that comes straight from the Michif dictionary, which is le terrain alentour la maison. Le terrain alentour la maison, which literally means the land around the house. So it's a pretty good description of a yard. We don't have a word for yard in Michif because Michifs didn't have yards. We either had river lots or we were squatting on land that wasn't our own. So yards don't exist in Michif history. So we had to come up with a description for it. I call my yard mon petit terrain, my small piece of land. But if you want to use the dictionary phrase, it's le terrain alentour la maison. A garage, there's also a couple different ways to say this, but again, I've given you the dictionary word, which is un bâtisse de char. Un bâtisse de char. I've also heard many people call a garage an hangar. And a hangar is like a shed or a barn. So either of those are acceptable. Again, this is not. Oh, go ahead, Samson.
Sorry, what's the breakdown of that? And Bautista Shaw.
It basically means like a covering for a car.
Well, because bâtisse would be the same as bâtisse.
Yes.
Building.
Exactly.
God is like a Czech word that we use for voiture or car.
Yes, exactly. And again, this would have been like Michifs never had garages, so they had to come up with a word to describe, you know, our common existence, which is actually cool. And I always encourage my old ones when there isn't a word, I'm like, well, let's make one. And that's how, you know, languages are alive when they continue to grow, when you continue to add words. So I've been challenging some of my old people for a while now to come up with a word for the internet. I think they're still working on it. Neighbor. Yep.
Can I interrupt? My dad used to call the garage La Forge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would work
I'm
too.
not sure if like that means like a forge, like where we had like a fire, like to forge metal.
It sounds like
a
it,
blacksmith.
Yeah.
Like a blacksmithing. I'm not sure.
Does that sound right to you, Jose? And forge?
Yeah, la shed, la forge.
Okay, cool. Neighbors, you probably have neighbors where you are. Your neighbors are les voisins. Les voisins. But again, this is a word that we sort of had to not necessarily invent, but back in the day when Michifs were living either on the road allowance or on river lots, you didn't have neighbors, you had relatives. That was your, you know, tu tante ekote, o bendon ton nok ekote. That was your aunt or uncle usually that lived next to you, or ti cousin, your cousins. Now, if we're talking about inside the house, I should have mentioned this word here, dehors. That means outside. Dehors la maison. And if you're talking about inside, you use the word dedans. And that's anything inside, anything outside. So inside the house, some common things that you'll see, dishes are les vaisselle. Les vaisselle. Your kitchen is la cuisine. La cuisine. An oven is la fourneau. La fourneau. A floor is la plancher. La plancher. A door is en porte. En porte. Now here's one that's probably different from what you call it in French. I think a bathroom in French is la salle de bain. A bathroom in Michif is la cloisette. La cloisette. And that's a throwback to like water closets. It's basically an outhouse, right? Because, you know, Michifs have really only had bathrooms for the past 40 years. So for most of our languages' existence, it was an outhouse that people were using. So la cloisette is what we say. And a basement is en cave. En cave. It's your cave. And cave d'homme, maybe it's your man cave. So here's some practice sentences that we can try out down here. So if I break down this sentence, which means what do you have outside your house? Que quoi que t'ailles dehors tu maison? Que quoi is what? The verb to have is aya. So if you're saying you have, you need a K. Remember, you is kia. So usually when you're using you with Mitcha verbs, you just add a K. I add this little T here because it's hard to say kiyan. This is a common thing in Michif that you'll often see T being inserted in a word to make it easier to say. Que quoi kitayan? What do you have? Dahor, outside. Ton maison, your house. Que quoi kitayan dahor ton maison? So there's lots of ways that you can answer that, and you can use some of the words that we've learned today. I know if it was me answering this question, I'd say, Mishchetli zarbaj nedai. I have lots of weeds outside my house. Or you can say, if you want to throw in colors, because we've learned colors in a previous lesson, you could say, en poire blanc nedayan. I have a white fence. En poire blanc nedayan. And again, these are all words that we've learned today. Or you might say, liwezin shoke ke wak nedaya wak. I have noisy neighbors is what this is. Shoke we wak is noisy. And this is how you pluralize have. You have to add the wak on the end. Nedaya ya wak. Liwezin shoke we wak nedaya ya wak.
How do you say a little bit? So mischet is lots. How do you say upshish?
Apshish.
So I could say mischet li jalbaj and dayan upshish le point vert.
Nishta. Nishta. Yeah. So, que quoi que t'ailles dedans ton maison? What do you have inside your house? So if you wanted to answer this question, you could say, dans mon cuisine, en lavette vert nedayan. So I'm saying dans is in, just like in French. In my kitchen, I have a washcloth, and lavette is a washcloth. Okay. You know vert is green. So I guess I have a green washcloth. Or maybe you say, oh, en menosh gifte mio nedayan. I have a lazy cat. Okay. Minakia, what about you guys? What do you have? So take a couple minutes. You can either try outside the house or inside the house. Remember to use nidayan, which means I have. Okay, you can use the structure that I've outlined here. And you can also throw in some of these new words that we've learned today. But if you know other nouns in French, feel free to throw those in. Okay. So, que quoi que t'ailles chin? What do you have? So when you've got something, you can go ahead and shout it out.
Le terrain alentour la maison paie un part.
Hmm. Good. So you got a yard and you got a fence. Awesome. And gros terrain, is it a big yard? No.
We corner lot.
Ah, ben. Nice.
How would you say sidewalk?
Sidewalk. God, I don't think I know
Lista.
sidewalk. I think probably, I could be wrong on this, but I think probably what the old people would say is in chemin, a little road. But, you know, while I'm waiting for people to come up with sentences, let me grab my dictionary and see if it's in there. Give me 2 seconds.
Sidewalk is les trottoirs.
Can you say that one more time?
Les trottoirs.
Trottoir.
I should always just have this thing on me, but sidewalk. Let's see what the people of Turtle Mountain say.
And to say, how would you say long? Long?
Yeah, you can say long. You can also say quinoa.
Quinoa.
Sidewalk.
And long.
Okay, they say la rue.
Well, there's a few, yeah. La rue, because I'm on a corner lot too.
Okay,
At the,
la
Or
rue, which is
les
spelled.
trottoirs would be another one.
Okay. So yeah, in the Turtle Mountain Mitchell Dictionary, they spell it R-E-U, la rue.
Isn't that road too? La rue?
And chemin would be a road.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that street? Rue in French?
Is that street in French, Jose?
I-
La rue?
But it's R-U-E.
R-U-E,
R-U-E.
right. Okay, and you also use le trottoir? Okay, cool.
So in
So,
French is trottoir.
trottoir, okay.
Yeah.
But you've cleverly changed it to where, which is what we usually do with war. So good job there, yeah. How do you say fake? Namo vrai. It's not real. Namo vrai. You can also say aksana. I'll put that in here. Aksana. Do you have a fake sidewalk, Aaliyah? In Oksana la rue Kitayanchi?
Or maybe li Oksana l'arbre, or
A fake tree, maybe?
that's the only thing surviving this heat.
There are a lot of people with fake grass in our neighborhood.
Ah, yes, that's a great idea, actually, fake grass. Is anybody ready to tell me what you have before we end off here?
Michette, li roche aqua, le fuen ver oxana.
Oh, cool. So you got some fake grass and lots of rocks. That sounds like a beautiful yard. Katawashashu. Good job. Anybody else want to give it a go?
Okay, I'll try. Un aya le foin ven machanuk en lac.
Okay, good job.
Okay.
Oxanas. Fake plants, li plant oxana. Yeah. You can also say li fayouge oxana.
Because it's wheat, it's reeds. It's not
Okay.
weeds, it's reeds that grow in the water.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
And let's have 2 more people share. Okay, what do you have?
I can go.
Sure.
Afficher les fleurs et quoi un arbre de les pommes d'ailleurs.
Okay, good. That was perfect. Good job. Anybody else?
I could try.
Okay.
Dans cuisine, le vaisselle et le fenouil.
Okay, good. Got some dishes in an oven. Boy, Samson's really challenging me tonight. Now he wants to know how to say driveway. Let's see what the Turtle Mountain people say about driveway. Namola driveway. Maka, probably what they would say is either en chemin pour un char or en place de mon char, a place for my car, a little road for my car. I'm seeing some of my old people tomorrow. I'll ask them if they have a word for driveway. One more person we got time for before we end. Somebody who hasn't gone yet. What do you have?
I'll go.
Okay.
Almenos orange nedayon.
Ah, nishta. Me too, I have an orange cat. Good job. All right. Excellent. So one of the things that I want to do as we get towards our last couple lessons here, I'm just going to stop sharing for a second here. We've come to the end of the evening. What I would really like people to do, if you have time over the next week, is I'd like you to sort of just quickly review some of the things that we've learned over the past 8 lessons. Because what I'd like to do in lesson 10 is go over some things that either you want to go over again, or to expand some of the things that maybe we just touched on and you want to learn a little bit more. Or if there's something completely new that we haven't learned that you're dying to learn, if you can tell me those things next week in class 9, then I can make sure I'm prepared for class 10 before we end our lessons. So if you can do that for me, that would be great, because my goal, of course, is to have you get what you want to get out of these lessons, right? We've covered a lot of the basics that everyone should know, like how to introduce yourself, but I'm really interested to know if there's things that we haven't hit on yet that you would like to get to. So if you can have that for me next week, that would be awesome. Yeah, Nick's saying that the YouTube uploads have been good for review. So that's a good reminder that all of these lessons are recorded and you can find them on Reconciliation Regina's YouTube page. I believe they're also on RPL's website. I'm not 100% sure about that, but definitely Reconciliation Regina has them. So Amy, are they also on Regina Public Library's website?
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry, is what on Regina Public Library website? I just glitched a little. I didn't hear.
Oh,
the
that's
first
okay.
part.
The video recordings.
I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that. I'll just make a note for myself to find out. I do send the recordings to Kristen when we're done.
Okay.
I'm guessing they'll be up. Let me just make a note, and if it's not me on hosting the next one, I'll leave a note for Almaziz to let you know.
Awesome.
And she can just let you know and maybe put it in the chat if there is a link to the library.
That sounds great. And even
Okay,
if it
great.
not like I said, it's all on Reconciliation Regina. So just even if you go onto YouTube and just put in Reconciliation Regina, it should pop up. So and of course there's recordings there, not just of Mitchif, but there have been series of Nakota lessons, Cree lessons, Soto lessons. So you can find all of those there as well if you're interested in learning some of our relations languages as well. So all right, Ekoshe, that's it for tonight. Thank you as usual for joining me. I know it's really hot and you'd probably much rather be bakasha moning somewhere, swimming somewhere. But it's been good to hang with you guys tonight, and hopefully we see you all back next week. Lutsumen, kawapa mitten na wao.